Tonight, a 15-year-old boy arrested and charged over allegedly making explosives in Port Pirie, and a local tourism operator boasting a population boost in local wildlife numbers.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Police have laid charges against a 15-year-old boy over allegedly manufacturing explosives in Port Pirie. While officers are treating the incident as minor, they say it had the serious potential for serious injury to members of the public.
For 2 months, residents in Risdon Park South have been reporting loud explosions ringing out across town.
The ongoing investigations and identified that they in fact were the detonation of what's commonly referred to as sparkler bombs.
Police are now alleging that 2 boys were behind the noises, causing serious damage to private property, as well as to street signs and letterboxes across Port Pirie.
What we saw was the behaviour of these youths escalating from just detonating these explosives in their own yard to taking them out into the public space.
Last week, the pair were reported, but after further investigation, one 15-year-old boy was formally arrested and charged.
As a result of the ongoing investigations and further information that has come to police, one of those youths has been arrested and the second one has been further charged.
The pair are facing a raft of charges.
Of property damage, theft, creating an environmental nuisance and more significantly, the manufacture of explosives.
Police are continuing to investigate the incident and are urging anyone with information to come forward. The pair will face the Port Pirie Youth Court at a later date. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
2 teenage boys and a man have been arrested after breaking into Nicholson Avenue Primary School in Wyala. Just after 5:30 on Friday morning, police were called to the school to find a 22-year-old, a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old nearby, allegedly in possession of stolen items. All 3 were charged with serious criminal trespass and theft, but police are still looking for 3 missing laptops believed to have been stolen. Anyone with information is urged to contact police. Mineral Resources Minister Tom Koutsantonis says the Eyre Peninsula could be a major focus of a new magnetite ore strategy. He says the region has an abundance of the iron ore product along with the infrastructure to export it and turn it into steel.
Magnetite ore is the primary ingredient used in making steel. Its metallic properties make it a valuable commodity for the state's economy. SA has 44% of the nation's ore body, and the state government is looking to increase our share of the market. It's aiming to double the number of mines in SA by 2030.
Even in tight times, still a basic commodity that we need to grow our economy, so I think it's eminently achievable.
The Eyre Peninsula is set to be ground zero. SOMEC's Southern Middleback Ranges, along with the Central Eyre project, are just a few of the number of magnetite ore bodies. Central Eyre's Cape Hardy Port and the Port of Wyala are earmarked to be export points. And the jewel in the crown, the GFG Steelworks.
I mean, that's the key to success in Wyala, is increasing the output of steel.
Mining interests, however, have clashed at times with farmers and the traditional owners of land. The state government says landholders must be part of any consultation.
It's a great insurance policy against weather. Farmers can work in mines too. Farming families can have children that work in mines.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The population of the Australian sea lion is bouncing back despite being labelled one of the most endangered mammals in the world. Local sightseeing operators Calypso Star Charters is putting the boom down to eco-friendly tourism practices on the Eyre Peninsula.
They're friendly, playful and don't mind putting on a show.
I think the sea lions actually have as much fun as the tourists do, actually.
The lively mammals continue to be a popular draw card on the EP.
There was a lot of sea lions.
That was amazing. Unbelievable.
But it wasn't always the case. The sea lion was hunted nearly to extinction for their delicate oil and fur. Now classified as a protected species, there's estimated to be between 10 and 12,000 in the wild. but eco-friendly charters like Calypso Star believe those numbers are on the rise.
When they've finished their hunting trip, they're back here sleeping for up to about 20 hours a day. It's great that they can take an hour out of their time to come and have a play with us, though.
Calypso and other tourism charters in the region observe strict regulations to protect the ecosystem, all while offering guests a memorable close encounter.
They just come towards you, they play with you, they look at you.
They look like big fish.
There's 4 sites that we can operate to, all haul-out sites, none of the breeding colonies.
The special day out leaving an impact.
It's definitely worth coming by.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the last look inside Broken Hill's old YMCA building. Details next. Port Broughton Area School has self-funded its own science, technology, engineering and maths facility for its students after missing out on government funding for the project. The centre is set to provide integrated learning for all students in a bid to help boost enrolment numbers at the small school.
A new state-of-the-art learning facility for students at Port Broughton Area School.
It's going to cost us in the vicinity of $370,000.
With only 140 students enrolled, the school was unable to receive any government funding.
And we weren't eligible for any federal or state grants due to the size of our enrolment.
Renovations on the new Science, Technology, Engineering and Maths Centre have already begun.
We've remodelled a computing room, a canteen and a classroom, and are developing a brand new computer suite, a makerspace area.
It's hoped the facility will help break down barriers by allowing students to take a more practical approach to learning.
Give our students the opportunity to experience new technologies and a new environment, and also develop their skills in the science, maths and engineering fields.
And the first-class facility set to improve the school's reputation as well.
Have an impact on the town as well, because when people hear that the school's got updated facilities and stuff like that, they're going to want their kids in here, because it's just going to be, up there with all the high-end schools.
The centre is set to be up and running by Term 1 next year. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Southern Cross News has been given one last look inside the old YMCA building in Broken Hill before extensive demolition works begin. The site will soon be the home of a new health facility, with potential builders getting a tour today as part of the tender process.
Site fencing is up, floorboards pulled out, equipment gone. The YMCA is in tear-down mode.
We're pleased to announce that the demolition and early demolition part of the project is commencing on time.
This morning, construction companies were given a first-hand look at the site as the building prepares to receive a $4.5 million state-of-the-art transformation.
Part of the project is to demolish and rebuild around 1/3 of the existing footprint, so it's not a full demolition rebuild, it's about 1/3, and the rest of the project is a whole range of restorations and repurposing work.
While the building is ripped apart, the YMCA says the transition to its interim fitness centre in Oxide Street has been seamless.
In fact, it's actually grown a small percent over the last couple of months, which has been very pleasing for us, and our main focus is pushing this project through.
The tenders for the project will be called for by the end of the month. They'll be awarded in the early new year.
The expectation is that the construction will commence in March to April of 2018, and the construction working right through till the end of the year, with it being completed towards the end of 2018 into early 2019.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Sunny skies and warm conditions saw thousands pack Civic Park in Whyalla last night for the annual Carols in the Park. The event helped to raise funds for the Lions Club, who direct the money towards a number of local projects. Revellers were treated to a show by the city's best talent, who mixed traditional carols with a few pop classics.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away.
A really festive atmosphere, and I think people really wanted to come out and celebrate Christmas as a community. To have such a small team put together such a huge event, we're super proud.
Father Christmas also took some time out of his busy December schedule to pay a visit to the local boys and girls. Looks like good fun. In the news ahead, we look back at the year that was in our region, beginning with Port Augusta. That's next. Port Adelaide Football Club will bring their AFL community camp to Port Lincoln for the first time since 2010. The Power will visit the region along with Ceduna, Yalata and the York Peninsula in early February. During the visit, players and coaches will host Auskick Super Clinics and speak with community groups. Former Mallee Park player Lindsay Thomas will attend the trip after being recruited to Port Adelaide this season, along with Cleve export Sam Gray. Turning to cricket now, and a century from opener Craig Reedy guided Lincoln South to a win over Waybacks on Port Lincoln on Saturday. He scored 100 of the 170 runs, while Nathan Simcock took 4 Waybacks wickets to secure the victory. John Hunt joins us now, and John, it's a vital win in the race for the finals.
It is, Fraser. Lincoln South was sitting just outside the top 4 heading into the match, while Waybacks needed a win to keep in the finals hunt. Waybacks managed to dismiss 8 Lincoln South players for single-figure scores, but 1 player managed to make it to triple figures. Craig Reedy was the saviour, hitting 100 to help South post a competitive 170, his second 100 of the year and 8th overall. While others around him fell, he soldiered on to help give them a chance of posting a defendable score. In reply, Waybacks couldn't build a decent partnership to chase the target, with Nathan Simcock returning figures of 4 for 18 from 6.5 overs. 32 from Jack Parsons wasn't enough, as Waybacks were skittled for 108. The result sees Lincoln South go into 4th, while Waybacks remain rooted to the bottom of the table. In other matches, Southern Air cruised to a 9-wicket win over Charlton, while 89 from Robin Earl guided Todd River to a massive win over Tasman. Over in Port Pirie, undefeated props were too good for Southport, while Wandera eased past Solomon Town North. Up in Port Augusta, Central Stirling had a 30-run win over West Augusta, while 126 from Craig Shirley wasn't enough for South Augusta, who were upset by bottom-of-the-table Quorn. In Wireless, Central Wireless smashed Rapina, who could only manage 62. Daniel Collison doing the damage with 5 for 22. And North Wireless managed to hold on and record a nervy 6-run win over a spirited South. Dave Miller's 5 for 31 helping them avoid an upset. Finally, in Broken Hill, North were too good for South. Shane Dolby top scored with 29 and took an impressive 4 for 10. And Central's defeated West. So that's all the cricket for this week and this year on Southern Cross News. The region's leagues will be taking a Christmas break after next week, but we'll be back tomorrow night with all the other sports scores from across the region.
Thank you, John. John Hunt reporting there. Well, as 2017 draws to a close, Southern Cross News is looking back at the year that was for our region. We begin in Port Augusta tonight, where Amelia Simpson spoke to Mayor Sam Johnson about a huge year for renewable energy in the town.
Sam, thanks so much for joining us. What's the feeling in Port Augusta compared to the beginning of the year?
I think it's reasonable to say that the feeling has improved. You can't have a major employer close down and people feel pretty good about it. And not only that, the impacts of what's happened around the region as well. We know what's happened in Port Pirie and also particularly in Whyalla has had an impact on Port Augusta. It's had an impact on families and it's had an impact on small business. But we're seeing some positive signs, and to actually illustrate those positive signs, there's something like 11 new businesses that have opened in the CBD in Port Augusta and predominantly in the main street in just the last 5 months alone. So we've seen that trend of businesses closing and sadly seeing some empty shops, but now we're actually seeing the complete opposite. So to me, that's living proof that we are actually now starting to move in a positive upward trend, which is really good and really pleasing.
So talk me through the solar thermal campaign. That's something that's been quite historic for the town.
Yeah, solar thermal has certainly been an exciting journey and an exciting achievement for the people of Port Augusta and the region as well. It started with my predecessor, who obviously had a very strong personal quest and campaign to see this go ahead, and further backed by the community of Port Augusta and through groups like Repower Port Augusta, who I give full credit for, because you've got a strong group of volunteers who have given up enormous amounts of their own time, who have believed in a project, have believed in their community and believed that they would get a result, and reality is they've achieved that result, and it's just fantastic. It's an amazing illustration of people power.
You've previously described Port Augusta as the solar capital of the world. Do you think that's a statement that's slowly coming true?
I know it sounded probably a little bit crazy when I was saying that at the time of the closure of the power station, but reality is by doing that and believing in that and driving that message and positioning ourselves in the marketplace has, I believe, been very attributable to people wanting to actually invest. Investors have made that statement. We know of the Bungala project, the 300 megawatt PV project, which is the largest of its kind in Australia. In fact, it's the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. We now know that there are 2 proposed, and one has actually gone for development approval in respect to pumped hydro, here based in Port Augusta as well. There are also another number of solar PV projects based in and around Port Augusta as well. We know now with Zen Energy proposing to do one here in Port Augusta, and also Pangea Energy is proposing to build the world's largest battery, some 300 megawatt, and new technology also based here in Port Augusta. So there is a number of projects. If you tally those projects up, including the ones that have approval and those that are applying for approval, so the real projects, it's around about $4.2 billion of capital investment in renewable projects.
Last year we know the Port Augusta Council did increase their rates and there was a big uproar. How has Council worked to repair that relationship with the community since then?
I think one very pleasing thing is the establishment of the Ratepayers Association, and I really do give credit to that group and the people involved. And it's a fantastic communication tool for Council, particularly the elected side of Council, to be able to go directly back into the grassroots of the community and get that feedback. And I think we've worked really quite well together. They give us some voices and some opinions and constructive criticism as we go along. So I think that's been very beneficial to the community and to the Council actually having that. And I do hope that they continue to do what they actually do moving forward.
Sam, thanks for your time.
Thank you, and thanks for 2017. Very much a big year in Port Augusta. Well, after the break, the weather with Abby, and some parts of the region are set to swelter this week, Abby.
Yes, that's right, Fraser. Summer is well and truly here. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. Well, there was plenty of sunshine around today. It was a warm one for Port Augusta, 36 the top, slightly cooler in Whyalla, 32 the max there. We saw some lovely conditions further west, 27 was the top in Port Lincoln, and temps hit 34 degrees in Port Pirie and Broken Hill. To the satellite now, and high cloud over western parts of South Australia is due to a low pressure trough further east. Low cloud in the far southeast with onshore winds are causing the odd light shower, and skies are clearer elsewhere under a ridge of high pressure. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, southeasterly shifting northeasterly winds between 10 and 15 knots, seas at a metre with a south-southwesterly swell, and sunrise is just after 6 tomorrow and sunsets at 8:23. To tomorrow's forecast now, we're going to see some scorching temps around all centres. Port Augusta's heading for a sizzling top of 41 degrees, the same for Corn. A hot one for Whyalla, 37 the top there. Temps around the low 30s for Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay, but the dial's set to rise into the high 30s everywhere else. Port Pirie heading for a top of 38 degrees. To the rest of the week now, and that heat wave will hang around until a cool change brings a drop in temperatures on Thursday. Temps will be in the low 30s for Port Lincoln with a chance of some summer showers on Wednesday before a much cooler 22 degree day. Warmer in Cleve, 37 the top tomorrow and Wednesday before temps drop down to the low to mid 20s for the end of the week. And a scorcher for Woodnard tomorrow, 40 the max, but we'll see some relief by Thursday with that cool change too. Further up the Gulf, we'll see hot temps in all centres for the next couple of days. Whyalla's heading for a sizzling max of 39 degrees by Wednesday before a cool change brings temps right down into the 20s by Thursday. And it's well and truly summer in Port Augusta tomorrow, with the mercury rising to a scorching 42 degrees by the middle of the week, but it will cool off by Thursday. And temps are in the high 30s for Kadina before a lovely few days to end the week. And lastly, that heat wave will be felt across all centres tomorrow and Wednesday before temps drop down, then start to creep back up again by the end of the week. Port Pirie warming up to 40 degrees on Wednesday, then just 26 degrees on Thursday. A similar story for Clare, a hot few days before temps dip into the 20s. And Broken Hill's heading for a top of 41 degrees on Wednesday before temps drop back down into the 30s. So, Fraser, the region is set to swelter over the coming days.
Thanks, Abby, and that's all the news for now. Thanks for your company. We'll leave you with some of the Christmas lights across Port Augusta as the region begins its festive season. Enjoy your evening. Good night.